So this page doesn't have an actual notes page with it. It just says practice 2. And you might go, okay, well, let me just give it a try and see how it goes. But if you would like some help, I would love to do a couple problems here for you or with you, whatever you want to call it. I also want to make sure that you know that you do not need to do number 3, because at this point at least, my thought is that I must have typed it in wrong, because it, for one thing, it doesn't even look right because of it has like a weird greater than and a positive 2. But then it also just doesn't actually work out the way it's supposed to. I think I have one of the inequalities flipped maybe. So just skip over 3. And in case I don't keep your attention, there's also one that you can skip on the next page of this as well. So that'll be clear on the solutions that I'm going to mark out both of those so you don't have to do them. And I'll probably also say something about it in the assignment or something. Well, let's get started. So the difference on practice 2 from practice 1, or the first practice, whatever you want to call it, is just that we're making it a little bit more complex. So these on the front of this or the first page of this, are 2-step inequalities, but there are 2 of them, right? So that means that that's really like 4 steps. I don't know. But that's more complicated than the ones, or most of the ones we did on the previous page. Then on the back, it steps up again by having variables on each side of the inequality. So that's what we got going on. Let's do it. Remember that if you need to rewrite the inequalities so that you can, kind of separate them in your head, go for it. The other thing is to basically be like, okay, I'm separating it out by coloring a wall in between them. And then probably should make sure that I do remember that that's or, but the inequality should point away from each other since this is an or. So I'm going to start with 4n minus 5 is greater than 11. I'm going to add 5 and then divide by the 4. It is my hope that solving something like this, either with an inequality or with an equal sign, is getting close to, if it is not already, second nature to you. That when you see this right here, right, we add or subtract the number, we divide by the thing in front of the letter, and we get our answer. Because it's basically something we're going to end up doing over and over and over and over again. We add 6 and get 8. We divide by 8 and get 1. Okay, sorry for the pause, but I was like, wait, this gives us an and, not an or, but I was not dividing 8 by 8, which is clearly what I was supposed to be doing. Okay, so n is greater than 4 or n is less than 1. Neither of those are equal to, so we're going to put some open circles and draw away. So then positive 1 right here. And that's it. That's how we do it. So I'll do number 2 since it's an and, just to like get you off on the right foot, or you can just stop watching the video and try it yourself. It's whatever. I am going to try to get x by itself in the middle here, and I do that by getting rid of this -2 first. So I add the 2, but I have to do it to all of the places. So -11 plus 2 is -9. Then I have 3x still, and 10 plus 2 is 12. Then I'm going to divide by 3 all across. That's a positive 3, so I don't flip the inequalities. It's -3 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 4. Since I mentioned flipping the inequalities, when it's written as an and like this, if you do end up having to divide by a negative, let's pretend we've got this situation. We end up dividing by -1. What that does is it flips both inequalities. And you might be thinking, well, that doesn't seem like it works, but this is still saying that x is between these two numbers. It's just -3 is bigger than x, and x is bigger than -5, and that works. This is a random example in case I completely lost you. We're saying that x has to be in between these two numbers still. It's just that they're pointing the other way. But we're supposed to be doing this problem, so open circle at -3 and filled in circle at 4, and then fill in between. And that's how it goes. And I'm going to switch over to the back and tell you which one not to do and do 2 problems with you. Okay, I'm going to do 2 problems from the back of this, and also you do not need to do number 11 at all, because I think I made a mistake, because I don't know how to, I mean, there is a way to work it out. It's not the same as these other ones, and so it harder than intended, perhaps. So just don't worry about 11. And really, if you are struggling with these things, this is not something that you really need to master, like this level of difficulty for these inequalities. But it is nice to be able to see it and kind of see where we're headed with these things. So we're going to do 9 and 10 and just, see how it goes. Because now we've gotten to the level of complexity where we have a variable on each side of our inequality, if you're looking at this or. So if it helps to say, I'm going to split this up right into 2 different problems. And what that looks like for and when we have it combined is we have an in on the left, the right, and in the middle. Okay, so that seems like it's a little bit more complicated, right? So we'll do 9 and 10 so you can see how both of these work. For 9, we need to get on the first one, the p's on the same side. So 3p, I'm going to subtract over. And 4, I'm going to subtract over. And that gives me p is less than or equal to -7, which is pretty nice. And then going to do the same sort of solving situation here for the second one. So I'm going to minus 5p, minus 5p, minus 6, minus 6. Those actually both cancel out. Interestingly, that's not something that has to happen. It just happened to happen here. How many times can I say happen in a row? Okay. When this happens, that the whole side is canceled out, you'd put a 0 there because you need something on the other side, but there's literally nothing on the other side, and nothing is represented by 0. And we divide by -13, and the fact that we are dividing by a negative means that we would flip that around and make it greater than 0. So graphing this would be a filled in circle on -7 and an open circle on 0. And there we go. So with this and, where we've got the 3 sides, so to speak, left, right, and middle, what we're trying to do is get the ends into the middle. In other words, get them off of the 2 sides, left and right. And then any numbers that are in the middle, we'll try to get out of the middle. And so the thing I would suggest that we do is, because we have a 2n on the left and the right, let's subtract 2n from everything. And that actually works out really nicely because they're both 2 ends on left and right. It actually cancels out both of them. That's the issue I have on 11, is that I think I might have written down the problem or typed the problem in wrong, because that doesn't happen. And if that doesn't happen, I'm not sure we can quite do it the exact same way. So hopefully you don't mind me saying you don't have to do it instead of looking it up or teaching you a different way to do it. Now I just need to subtract the 8 from each part, and that gives me -6 is less than n is less than or equal to -3. So since -6 is next to something that does not have an equal to, that's an open circle, -3 gets a filled in circle, and it's going to be in between, right, like so. So now you hopefully can do 7, 8, and 12. If it's not going well, then please either reach out or look at the solutions. And, once you've looked at the solutions for one of them, try again, and then you can keep going, hopefully, once you've looked at a couple more problems. All right, thanks.